Imagine holding a simple cup of water, clear as the morning after rain, with just a touch of cinnamon resting inside. That's all. Two elements that seem so common, yet hide a power many ignore, a power that transcends generations, cultures, and even time. Some say cinnamon carries the warmth of the sun and the energy of life, and that water, eternal and silent, holds the mystery of the human spirit. When united, they become more than just a drink. They transform into a ritual, a kind of bond between body, soul, and hope. Edgar Cayce, known as the Sleeping Prophet, believed that the deepest secrets of existence were not in complicated formulas, but in simple gestures rooted in nature. He spoke of healings and spiritual revelations that often went unnoticed by the hurried gaze of the modern world. For Cayce, water and cinnamon were not just substances, but vehicles to awaken the vitality of the soul, especially when time begins to mark the body with wrinkles, grey hair, and memories that seem to slip through one's fingers. And perhaps it is precisely after age 60 that this ritual finds its greatest meaning. Because it is at this stage that many begin to look back with a mix of pride and melancholy, remembering the years when life seemed infinite, and at the same time looking forward with a certain mystery. What is yet to come? What is still possible to live? The water and cinnamon ritual doesn't answer these questions directly, but offers something even more precious, a sense of reconnection, belonging, and inner awakening. Can you remember the first time you smelled cinnamon? Perhaps in your mother's kitchen, mixed with the sweet scent of an apple pie coming out of the oven, or in a warm tea on a cold afternoon, when the simple act of holding the cup already felt like a hug. That smell carries memories. It retrieves moments you might not even have known still lived within you. This is why Cayce believed that elements of nature not only healed the body, but also awakened dormant memories, hidden emotions, and even spiritual forces that age can never erase. When water meets cinnamon, what we have is not just a mixture of flavors. It's as if the freshness of life touches the fire of memory. And drinking from this encounter can be understood as a symbolic act. It is telling oneself that there is still warmth, that there is still movement, that the inner flame continues to burn. Many elderly people who follow similar practices report a sense of calm, mental clarity, and even renewed energy. It is not magic. It is not an empty promise. It is ancient wisdom reminding us that human beings have always been connected to the elements of nature. But this ritual goes beyond the physical. Imagine starting the day not just with an automatic routine, but with a conscious gesture. Before drinking the cinnamon water, close your eyes. Hold the glass as if holding something sacred. Breathe deeply. Think about the years you have lived, the stories you have told, the battles you have overcome. Also, think about the dreams you still wish to achieve. At that moment, the drink ceases to be just a mixture and becomes a mirror. It reflects who you were, who you are, and who you can still be. It is curious how simplicity can carry so much meaning. In a world that chases complicated formulas to live longer and better, we sometimes forget that the essential is in what has always been around us. Cayce reminded us that the body is a temple and that everything we put into it should be treated with reverence. Water and cinnamon, two symbols of purification and energy, become a kind of liquid prayer. Now imagine the scene. You wake up early, the timid sun just entering through the window, the silence of the house broken only by the distant singing of a bird. The kitchen has that light morning smell. You put a little cinnamon in a glass of warm water, and as you bring it to your lips, you feel the gentle warmth spreading through your mouth, down your throat, warming your chest. At that moment, there is no rush, no clock. There is only you, your breath, and the certainty that you are nourishing something greater than the body. You are nourishing the soul. This ritual requires no wealth, no grand preparations. It does not depend on the youth of the body, but on the disposition of the spirit. And perhaps that is why it is so special for those who have crossed the 60-year mark. Because while many believe that age is a limit, Cayce and so many other wise people show us that it can be a portal to a different kind of vitality, more serene, more conscious, more spiritual. Cinnamon water then becomes a daily reminder, a reminder that each new day is a gift, that life does not end when the body grows old, but when we forget to nourish the spirit. By drinking it, you are silently reaffirming, I am still here. I still have light. I am still part of this great mystery called life. And in a way it is as if Cayce was still by your side, whispering those words that so many sought in his readings, that true healing begins within us, that every conscious gesture, every choice aligned with nature, brings us closer to a fuller life. It is not just about living more years, but about living each year with more meaning. There is something deeply moving in realizing that after 60, every simple gesture can carry new intensity. If before routine seemed like an almost automatic repetition, now, with the wisdom accumulated over time, each act can transform into an opportunity for reconnection. And it is precisely here that the water and cinnamon ritual finds a special place. It is not just a physical practice, but an invitation to dive within oneself, to rediscover one's own center. Edgar Cayce frequently spoke about the importance of aligning body, mind, and spirit. For him, it was not enough to care for only one of these aspects. It was necessary to seek harmony among all three. Water in this sense has always been a symbol of purification. It washes not only the body, but also the invisible marks we carry, hurts, fears, heavy memories that insist on staying. Cinnamon, on the other hand, carries a symbolism of energy, of vital warmth, as if it were a spark capable of rekindling what seems dormant. When we unite the two, we have a gesture that goes beyond physical health. It is a reminder that we can still start anew, that there is always room for renewal. Think for a moment about the amount of waters that have passed through your life. The bathwater of childhood, when the world seemed immense and safe. The river or lake water, where you might have swum on summer days. The rain that beat on the roof at night, lulling you to sleep. And even the water of tears that flowed in moments of pain and longing. Each drop carries a story, an instant of your journey. Now, by adding a touch of cinnamon to this essential liquid, you create a new memory, a new meaning. The memory of a ritual that speaks of life, energy, and spirit. Some believe that the aroma of cinnamon opens inner pathways. Its sweet and warm scent awakens something ancestral, as if it were capable of accessing hidden memories deep in the soul. Perhaps that is why when holding a glass of cinnamon water, some people describe a sense of peace that goes beyond taste. It is as if the simple act of drinking transforms into a silent prayer, a plea for balance, gratitude for the life that still pulses. And isn't it interesting how, after 60, we begin to notice details that previously went unnoticed? A bird's song seems clearer, a sunset deeper, silence more valuable. It is as if time teaches us that beauty is not in haste, but in contemplation. The water and cinnamon ritual fits exactly into this new rhythm. Slow, conscious, full of intention. Imagine for a moment that you are by a window, holding the warm glass. Outside, the wind gently sways the trees. You observe and for an instant feel part of that movement. Water, a symbol of fluidity, reminds us that everything passes, that nothing stays still forever. Cinnamon, with its warmth, reminds us that even in life's coldest winters, there is always a flame waiting to be rekindled. By drinking, you unite these two messages. Let go and keep the flame burning. Cayce said that simple rituals work because they connect us to something greater than ourselves. It is not about believing in magic formulas, but about understanding that every conscious gesture can align our energies. It is like tuning a musical instrument. When the strings are in harmony, the melody flows naturally. The human body, in its essence, is no different. With each sip of cinnamon water, you are tuning your own being, reminding your body and mind that there is still music to be played. And perhaps the greatest beauty of this ritual is that it does not belong to a specific culture or religion. It crosses borders. Water is universal, cinnamon too. Together, they transform into a language that any heart understands, the language of care, respect, and awakening. It does not matter where you are, how many years you have lived, or what pains you have faced. This ritual can be a meeting point between you and what gives you meaning. Many who practice something similar report a silent transformation. It is not something that happens overnight, but a gradual process. Over time, they realize they start to feel lighter, more connected to their own breath, more conscious of each moment. Some even speak of clearer, more vivid dreams, as if the mind gains space to express itself more freely. Wouldn't this, after all, be a form of healing? A healing that does not come from outside, but that springs from within. After 60, this experience gains an even more special flavor, because it is not about wanting to go back to seek lost youth. On the contrary, it is about accepting the present with dignity and transforming each day into an opportunity to nourish oneself, to strengthen oneself spiritually. It is discovering that true youth is not in the body, but in the inner flame that never ages. Have you noticed how certain childhood memories seem to remain intact, as if time had no power over them? The smell of cinnamon, for many, awakens exactly this: hidden memories, kept like small treasures. By drinking it with water, you not only relive these memories, but also create new ones, memories that can accompany you in the coming years as an intimate ritual of care and connection. And perhaps the greatest secret lies here: transforming the simple into the sacred, transforming routine into ritual, transforming water into symbol and cinnamon into inner fire. It is not about completely changing life, but about changing the way you look at it. It is about giving meaning to small gestures, because ultimately they are what build the great moments. Edgar Cayce, in his readings, always reinforced the idea that the human spirit is eternal, but needs to be reminded of this constantly. Cinnamon water can be one of those reminders. Each sip is like a whisper that says, "You are still part of this great flow. Your light still shines. Your time is not over." And there is no age that can erase this truth. When we talk about rituals, many imagine grand ceremonies full of complicated symbols. But the most powerful rituals, in fact, are those that fit within the silence of a morning, in the intimate space of a simple gesture. It is at this point that the practice of water with cinnamon reveals itself to be so special. It needs nothing more than the inner disposition to transform the ordinary into the extraordinary. Edgar Cayce believed that spirituality should not be something distant but part of daily life. He said that the healing forces of nature were always within reach, just waiting for people to be aware of how to use them. And isn't it fascinating to think that, amidst so many modern medicines and solutions, a simple glass of warm water with cinnamon can carry such a profound meaning? At age 60 and beyond, many begin to realize that life is not measured only by external achievements, but by the quality of presence, by the intensity with which each moment is lived. Perhaps that is why this ritual makes so much sense at this stage. It invites us to stop, to breathe, to feel, to truly be in the moment. The taste of cinnamon is not just flavor, it is memory. And water is not just liquid, it is life flowing within us. Imagine for an instant that every sip you take is like an invisible bridge connecting past, present, and future. The water reminds you of the rivers that flowed through your history, the joys lived, the losses faced, the lessons learned. Cinnamon, with its warmth, brings the present closer, like an ember that insists on keeping the soul warm. And together, these elements point to the future, showing that there is still much to be lived, discovered, celebrated. There is something deeply human in finding meaning in small details. After 60, it's no longer the big races that matter, but the moments of pause. The silence of an afternoon, shared laughter with a loved one, the simple act of taking care of oneself with affection. Drinking water with cinnamon may seem trivial, but when done with intention, it becomes a symbol of self-love. And loving oneself is perhaps the first step to continuing to love life. Cayce said that true healing was not just in remedies, but in the vibration we carry within us. And vibration is energy, it is intention. As you hold the cup, as you feel the sweet aroma of cinnamon gently rise, you are already changing your vibration. You are telling yourself, I deserve care, I deserve presence, I deserve vitality. This kind of silent declaration has a power that goes beyond words. And if we think about it, cinnamon itself has always been seen as something special. Ancient civilizations treated it as a treasure, not only for its flavor, but for its symbolism. It was used in rituals of protection, prosperity, and renewal. Mixed with water, It seems to remind us that it is still possible to protect ourselves from life's pains. It is still possible to renew hope. It is still possible to prosper in what truly matters, in the joy of being alive. Perhaps you remember a moment when a smell or taste brought back a memory so vivid it seemed like an open portal. Cinnamon has that power. It awakens dormant memories, and often it is in these memories that we find strength to move forward. A childhood scent, an afternoon with friends, a family celebration. Small fragments that, when added up, show that life was and continues to be rich. And when we look ahead, we realize that there is still much to live. The water and cinnamon ritual doesn't promise miracles, but it offers something more valuable. The clarity that time doesn't have to be seen as an enemy. It can be seen as a teacher. Each day, a lesson. Each sip, a reminder. Each morning, a chance to start over. Imagine waking up tomorrow and starting the day like this. Before any words, before any obligations, you go to the kitchen. You get a glass of water, add a touch of cinnamon, and before drinking, you close your eyes. You breathe deeply. You feel life passing through your body. You think of something you are grateful for. Then you drink slowly, as one drinks a secret. This simple act can change the way you face the hours to come, and the most beautiful thing is that there are no rigid rules. It's not about following a manual, but about creating your own relationship with the ritual. Some people prefer to drink it as soon as they wake up, others before bed, as if it were a serene farewell to the day. Some like to visualize a wish, others simply give thanks. The essential is not in the how, but in the why, because this gesture makes you feel more alive, more present, more whole. Cayce said that each person is responsible for their own spiritual spark, and that this spark needs to be fed, or it gradually fades. Water with cinnamon is like firewood for this inner flame. It doesn't matter if the body no longer runs as before, if the hands tremble a little, if the vision is no longer so sharp. The flame is still there inside, waiting to be cared for. It's curious to notice how life seems to gain more depth when we begin to value what is simple: a glass of water, a touch of cinnamon, a moment of silence. Perhaps this is the true power of the ritual, to teach that spirituality is not distant, but in the here and now, accessible to everyone, regardless of age, culture, or belief. And if you allow it, this habit can transform into something even greater. It can be a shared moment. Imagine preparing this cup for a loved one, sitting together, talking calmly while drinking. It would not only be a gesture of health, but of connection, of affection, because in the end, life is made of this, of encounters, of bonds, of memories created around small rituals. And perhaps this is exactly Cayce's most powerful message, that the true miracle is not in the extraordinary, but in the ordinary transformed into sacred. The glass of water with cinnamon is just the beginning. The true ritual happens within you, every time you choose to live with consciousness, gratitude, and hope. There comes a moment, after the age of 60, when life seems to become a quieter conversation. It's no longer about racing against the clock, but about learning to listen to it. And it is in this silence that small rituals like that of water with cinnamon acquire an almost sacred meaning, because they are not merely gestures for the body, they are reminders for the soul, reminders that there is still beauty in every morning, that the heart still pulses with hope, that the spirit does not age with the skin. Edgar Cayce believed that every human being is more than flesh and bone. We are energy, we are memory, we are spirit in constant transformation. Therefore, he said that the elements of nature could be used as portals of connection. Water, always pure and essential, would be the bridge between the physical and the invisible. Cinnamon, with its warmth, would be the touch of vitality that awakens the dormant soul. When united, they become not just a drink, but a declaration. I choose to live consciously. And perhaps the true power of this ritual lies precisely in teaching us to choose. To choose to wake up and see in the glass of water not just something that quenches thirst, but a symbol of renewal. To choose to feel in the aroma of cinnamon not just a pleasant smell, but the memory that there is still warmth within us. To choose to transform the ordinary into the extraordinary. This capacity for choice, so simple and so profound, is what keeps the flame of life burning after 60. Many older adults report that as time passes, they begin to perceive a different kind of strength. It is not the strength of muscles nor the agility of youth, but a serene strength that comes from within. It is the strength of those who have weathered storms and know that no matter how much it rains, the sun always returns. It is this strength that the water and cinnamon ritual helps to nourish. It is not about adding years to life, but about adding life to the years. Close your eyes for a moment and imagine the scene. You hold the cup. Feel the gentle warmth of the warm water, the sweet scent of cinnamon. As you drink, you realize that you are not just hydrating your body, but feeding an old hope, perhaps forgotten. It is as if each sip were a silent prayer, a promise to continue walking lightly, no matter the pace of your steps. And there is something profoundly transforming in realizing that the sacred can be in this gesture. Many spend their entire lives seeking answers in distant places, in grand rituals, in promises of miracles. But Cayce reminded us that true spirituality is simple. It is in the way we treat our bodies, in the way we look at life, in the small habits we cultivate daily. The glass of water with cinnamon doesn't have to be miraculous, because the true miracle is the consciousness you put into it. After 60, life's questions become deeper. It's no longer enough to think about how to live, but what to live for. It is at this point that rituals like this become so important. They help us find a daily purpose, a reason to start the day with intention. By drinking the mixture, you can mentally wish for gratitude, health, peace, or simply open yourself to the mystery of life. The gesture itself is enough to plant a seed of serenity, and we cannot forget the power of memories. The taste of cinnamon can transport us back to distant days, perhaps the kitchen of childhood, a dessert made by grandma, a moment when the family was gathered around the table. These memories are not just recollections, they are bridges. They remind us that we are still the same as before, that life continues within us in layers, that the essence is never lost. And by bringing these memories into the present, water with cinnamon also becomes a ritual of reconciliation with one's own history. Cayce believed that the body speaks when the soul is silent. Many diseases, he said, are reflections of internal imbalances, stored emotions, spiritual disconnections. The water with cinnamon ritual can be understood as a form of listening. By practicing it, you pay attention to yourself. Recognize the value of pause. Allow emotions to surface. It's as if you're saying, I am here. I listen to myself. I take care of myself. And this care, so simple and often forgotten in the modern pace, is a powerful key to longevity. Not just living more years, but living with quality, with inner peace, with the serenity of one who is not in a hurry to arrive, because they have learned to savor the journey. Now, imagine the impact of this gesture if repeated every day. A silent ritual that, little by little, shapes the way you view life. In the morning, when drinking the cinnamon water, you feel gratitude for the day beginning. At night, if you choose to repeat it, you can use it as a gentle farewell, as one who gives thanks for what has passed and prepares to rest in peace. No matter the time, the important thing is the intention, and intention has a power that goes beyond what the eyes can see. Perhaps Cayce's greatest legacy was precisely this, to show that spirituality is not outside of us, but within. That the body is a temple, and that every conscious choice can bring us closer to the divine. Water and cinnamon, such simple elements, become symbols of this teaching. One reminds us of the fluidity of life, the other of the inner flame. Together, they form a silent pact with one's own soul, and when we look at life after 60 with this perspective, we realize that there is still so much to celebrate. There are still conversations to be had, laughs to be shared, hugs to be given. The ritual is just a reminder that time doesn't have to be seen as a loss, but as a gain. Each year brings more awareness, more depth, more wisdom. So, the next time you hold the glass of water with cinnamon, remember, you are not just drinking, you are honoring your history, strengthening your present, and blessing your future. You are telling the universe that you choose to live with love, with gratitude, with faith in what is yet to come. And perhaps by sharing this gesture with someone, a friend, a grandchild, a life partner, you plant the same seed of care in them. Because rituals are not just personal, they also connect generations. And there is no greater gift than leaving this legacy, the legacy that the simple can be sacred, and that life can be lived with depth at any age. If Cayce were here, he might smile to see you holding the cup, because deep down, he believed that true wisdom lay precisely in this, transforming the everyday into spirituality and ordinary life into something extraordinary. And now, as we reach the end of this reflection, an invitation remains. Allow yourself to experience this ritual not as an obligation, but as a gift. Allow yourself to feel the warmth of the cinnamon, the lightness of the water, the silence that surrounds them. Allow yourself to believe that, even after so many years, life still holds surprises. If this video touched your heart, share it with someone you love. Perhaps this simple gesture is exactly what another person needs to rediscover their own flame. And if you wish, leave a comment about what water with cinnamon means to you. Your story can inspire others to create their own rituals of care and hope.